Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I'm Morik.
And I'm Moon Candy. And today, we're not just bending genres, we're bending time.
We're talking about the Retrospection of Tomorrow, a gripping sci-fi visual novel from indie developer Cherish. It offers mystery, romance, and a terrifying freedom to time travel.
Welcome to the podcast, Cherish. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how this project came to life?
Hi everyone, I'm Cherish. I am the programmer, artist, and writer for the game. The first idea of the project actually came up when I was in high school, but it was a very different story back then. It was basically a very classic dating sim. And then I went to university, I got too busy. By the end of the university, I started reworking on the game, and then that's when the current story came to life. And I have been working on it since then, and that's what you see.
Can I ask you a follow-up to this? The way the story goes with the time travel in particular, it really reminded me of an anime I watched recently. My question is, did you have any inspiration for the time travel portion, or did you think of it yourself?
Okay, I'm not sure if my inspiration actually is what you watched, but there are two main inspirations from the game. I am a big fan of time travel concept. The two main inspiration, one is Steins Gate, which is a very, very famous time travel Japanese anime and visual novel.
I had a feeling that was gonna be one of them. I had a really good feeling that was one.
It's canon.
Leon even looks like the main character.
Oh my god. Okay, they have very different characteristic, but yes, I think when I firstly started the game, I took a lot of inspiration from Steins Gate, although the game evolved through time and now it's very unlike the Steins Gate, but yeah, that's one of the main inspiration. Another one is a Netflix series called Dark. I think it's a German series. It's also about time travel. But it's much more complex than Steins Gate because it involves much longer time frame and also multiverse and things.
I've heard really good things about that one. I've always planned to watch it but could never find the time. Would you recommend it?
I highly recommend it. But I think it's kind of hard to get into it because it's kind of slow in the start and it's very complex, I have to say. But yes, it's definitely worth your time. Check it out if you have time.
Okay, while we're on the topic of, story, I want to ask, for our listeners, could you give us a brief summary of the Retrospection of Tomorrow?
Yes. So, first of all, I want to say that the story built on a long, non-linear storytelling structure. That's why in the brief you can see that the Faye, MC, in Leon shot himself and then is back to her memories from the past. That's a way I tell the story, is you experience something in the present, and then while you also trying to connect what happened in the past. So it's a jump back and forth, and in the end you will find evidence to connecting everything. So the brief of the story is, in simple terms, is you are going to play as Faye, a normal girl, and then you grow up with her from a teenager to adult, and you experience all the weird things happening in her life while you start to realize you have a time machine in your old bedroom and you start to use the time machine to change things, and then there are consequences. While dealing with those consequences, you will find more dark secrets emerge throughout the whole process. I think that's the brief of the story. It's very vague, I know, but that's the story.
That's still very interesting. Time travel plots are famously hard to write, so it's quite impressive you've decided to tackle one.
Honestly, me personally, while I was playing the game, the story, the way it's presented, jumping back and forth, between present, past, the past of the past, and such, it becomes one serious mindfuckery about being stuck in a time loop as dark secrets slowly emerge around you. What inspired you to weave a time travel mystery into a romance, though, like Otome in particular? How did you approach blending the sci-fi mechanics with the emotional core of the story?
So for the first question, time travel plus Otome is basically my two favorite genre. That's why I blend them. I love time travel. I was like a big fan of it when I first watched Interstellar from like the movie by Nolan. And then Otome I am a big Otome player. I think it's an interesting game form that firstly is not hard to make like as a game. Second is you can explore different love interests and have different kind of story type in each route. I think that's fascinating. I think there are two things that are interesting. Firstly is when I think of visual novels or just general time, when you do the save and load, it's kind of like a time travel. You go back to that point and you make different decisions. I think that's one of the interesting connection between those two parts. Second is sci-fi mechanics with emotional core of the story. I think in a story that when emotional core is revealed, it's usually in a very how to say that word? In a very extreme circumstances, like you are facing a fight or flight choice, or it's a love or death choice. I think sci-fi mechanics can bring that circumstance to life in very different ways, especially when you're considering a time loop or time travel. You are making a decision that you learn from the era of your past, but then there might be more consequences come from it, and then it creates a really nice plot twist. Like there are so much possibility to make from this mechanics.
What you just said about time loop where you study your failures to make different choices, that reminds me a lot of Re:Zero. Not sure if you watched it. But while it's not technically a time travel story, it's about every time the protagonist dies, he gets reset to a date further back in time where it basically has a save point.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's a very common mechanics like in this kind of stories. I think the main theme of this kind of mechanics like is about we all have this thought like, oh, I wish I make that decision before.
Yeah,
but in the end, like the result is always us to learning how to move on from the past and learn from the past. I think that's the ultimate goal of the storytelling.
Yeah, as you said, it's a very universal experience for basically anyone to have this question on their mind. What would happen if I had made this choice? So this mechanic that you've introduced basically allows that in a game form. It's quite clever.
Can I just want to weave in something here. You've said multiple times that you like time travel stories a lot. This is very personal to me. This is not a question. I just want to recommend you watch Link Click. It's a Donghua anime, and it's my favorite anime ever. And it's also about time travel. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to push that in there. I'm good now.
Oh, thank you. Actually, I watched it. It's a Chinese anime, so
Oh my god, you watched it?
I actually know it. I watched the first season, yes.
Watch the second one as well, it's amazing.
Okay. I will put that on my notes.
So, while we're on the topic, how did you design the world and the atmosphere so that the ordinary campus life collides with basically this surreal as a sci-fi loop of looming tragedy?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think I firstly designed the story as a campus love story, that you have your childhood friend and then there are a transfer student, you have your very nice high school time together, you go to university and then university is together and then there are weird things happening and your life is ruined, things like that. I think it just, while trying to balance the campus life and time loops, I think the main point is to show that how do you maintain trying to live your life and maintain a normal lifestyle while you have the ability to travel in time while others are not aware of it. I think that's the interesting aspect, and that's why I kind of set in that way. Also, like I think just based on the time and the age of the characters, they need to be in campus. I think it's an interesting collection. Like you're having a double life, basically.
You are, yeah, because none of the others know what you're going through with these loops. Also interesting that you basically took a normal setting and then added this third element to it that basically makes the story what it is.
I'll talk about the characters now.
Alright.
And I want to start with our main character, who we get to name. I personally went with Yue-chen Wei or Wei Yue-chen, depending on how you read it, but her the default name is Faye. And she's a regular college student one moment and a time-traveling heroine the next. How do you balance her outer determination with the inner turmoil she must feel each time things reset?
Yes, that's like a main course of like the main theme of her character development. I think there are two parts. Firstly is it's interesting to investigate when you experience the same event again and again, but then every time you have more experience, so you have different decisions and different thought about it. So it's interesting to look at her change on the thoughts when facing the same scenario throughout the time. Second, I think it's about character development. It's trying to find herself to understand what she really wants through those time thing reset and try to actually make a decision that is like effective. So So I think it's a combination instead of balance, because her inner driver is the main key of to make her doing all the actions. So yeah.
Without giving too much away, what do you hope players will feel as they step into Faye's shoes and experience her story?
Instead of Otome, I think this is more a very story-heavy visual novel. So instead of just like dating the boys, I mean, that's like one of the main part of the story. You can also experience her frustration and her loss through the gameplay. I think that's the part where you can really resonate with Faye and step in her shoes to understand why she feels that way and where is her determination come from. Especially when you see, like, for example, your loved ones are dead, and while 2 days ago you were dating. So that kind of emotional driver is the key to make the player resonate with her. About how player will feel is definitely emotional roller coaster. I heard this a lot from my players. There are a lot of love, there are a lot of cute moments. Also, there are a lot of blood and death and desperation. So it's a very mixed feeling. Visual novel, I hope it will bring this like mixed feeling. So it's just like our life, you know. You have like high point and low point, and you have so much emotions going on, but you have to move on. That's what I want to bring.
And interesting. So as I said, basically a roller coaster of emotions. And you did say that the boys aren't the only thing, but I do want to ask about them, starting with Hendrix. He's Faye's childhood friend, sweet, low, a bit clingy. Was like writing that lifelong bond between him and Faye. How does their shared history shape their emotional dynamic?
I think it's always fun to write about childhood friends because there's a lot to write. You can write their interaction when they were a child, their interaction during teenager, and then their interaction when you slowly become lovers. I think the transaction is very interesting. It's very very different dynamic compared to like romance tropes. So I think their shared history, share their emotional dynamic. Okay, so I think the main point writing their relationship is if you have a childhood friend, you will know that people do change while growing up. So while you know this person, you can also see that how their personality change during specific time, like specific period of time, if something big happens, and how do you cope with their change? How does that change your interaction with them, and how does that change your relationship? I think that's the interesting part between Faye and Hendrix relationship, is you kind of adapt with each other while evolving yourself.
Okay, yeah, that's quite interesting. Just having the person, you've known him for so long that by the end of it, he's not the same person that you knew when you were still young kids.
Yeah, and and then it's the time for you to decide if you still love them, like you love them for their personality, or you love them as like the person. So I think that's an interesting question for people to answer. in their relationship.
The childhood friend is a very common trope in most romance games. It's a very good reason why it's so common. It's a quite interesting dynamic to explore. I also want to ask about him. Does Faye challenge him in ways he doesn't expect?
I would say their relationship is very supportive throughout the way. Maybe not, I guess. I mean, most of the time, Faye just spending time saving his life after they become lovers. There are not too much challenges. Mostly external conflicts.
I mean, Faye did punch him at one point in the story, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, that's when they were kids. Yeah, a side note is I think Faye's not a perfect heroine, so she has her own problem and she has trauma. Like when she punched Hendrix, that's basically because of it's because of her personal problem. There was a time that there are more distance between them, but they work their way through, and that case, become closer.
It's actually something very interesting about Faye. She's definitely not a perfect character. Far from it. I noticed this during the story. There are these very violent moments when she gets angry, in particular. She gets very violent. Does this stem from what we know about her childhood?
Yes, it has her childhood affect a lot about her current personality. But that's a really large plot point, so I won't talk too much.
Okay.
But yeah, she can be very violent, she can be angry, she can be frustrated, and she can be hate people because they're she hate them. Look. So yeah, I think I like when characters are allowed to do this instead of being always very nice.
Look. Faye's a fucking girl boss, and I love it because there was one scene in particular where she stands up against the bully, and there's the option to punch him, but each option there's one exclamation point and there's two exclamation points. However that went, I went for the most violent option. I don't know if it changes anything, but
yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. I
Absolutely
think Faye's
favorite part.
Personality is her strong girl boss personality also has an interesting dynamic with each of the characters, especially when you see Hendrix super soft and warm and cute, and then Faye's more tough one. So yeah, it's cute, I think.
Okay, that was a little side note. I was just curious about the more violent side of Faye. But I want to go back to the boys, and specifically I want to talk about Noah, who is my absolute favorite. He's dreamy. I love Noah. He is essentially the relatively upbeat college buddy who gets Faye into this whole mess. He looks caring on the surface, but we do sometimes catch glimpses of something deeper beneath his smile. What does Faye's journey reveal about Noah's character? How does their relationship evolve from friendship into something deeper?
Good question. I was having a really hard time writing Noah's route, because if you play the game, you understand Noah's route only happening Act 2, which after you finish either Hendrix or Edmund's route, or Noah's route starts. So usually this is unusual road structure in Otome games. Usually you select one of them and you go to the end. But in the Retrospection of Tomorrow, after you finish one of the characters' road, there is another road opening right after it. So that's what Noah is. He is in a very sensitive spot that make his relationship with Faye very subtle. I think their relationship evolve is more so a side note is, I think Noah always secretly liked Faye, but since Faye already have Hendrix and Edmund as her long-term friends and also lovers, so that put Noah into a silent position, that Noah are not active, involved into the relationship unless something happens. So I think that's our interesting part. And then the relationship is, yes, a friendship to lovers trope, but I would say it involves something deeper, because Noah is a key character that solved the mystery of the whole time travel and time machine thing. So in his role, him and Faye are trying to solve more the actual mystery and to understand what's happening between their fate. And
Oh my
Noah is
God.
like one of the main character that will decide some of the main endings of Act 2. I won't say too much, but yes, their relationship is a very, very interesting one. I think everybody, after they play Act 2, fall in love with Noah because nobody will not love him. Yeah.
It just reminded me, like, wait. Let me put on a thinking cap here for a moment.
Okay.
Wait, because I just figured this out. I remember during the game, I'm not sure exactly when, but there was this scene where Noah was in a lab. It was March 20th and was about to strike 10 o'clock. And that was like the exact time we had in one of the notes, in the notebook part of the game. And like, let me pull on my theorist cap here. I'm thinking, did he do that? Did he do the blackout? Was it Noah?
I'm not going to answer that.
Oh
that's
my
a
god,
spoiler.
wait a minute.
No,
Oh
but
my god.
seriously, yes, time is very important. If you see that I mark that time when Noah speak that, and that time is the blackout or the outage time happening, it's definitely connected. But the truth will only evolve. It's only evolve in Act 3. But
Yeah,
yes,
so-
Noah is very important. His love story is super sad, super touching. Really recommend do it because I put so much effort writing it.
Yeah, sorry about the entire thing, the entire thinking cap thing. It just
No,
it just
no, I
popped
love
up into
it.
my
I
mind
love
right now, and I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. Anyway, though, back to the more romantical parts of Noah and Faye. Can you just said that you put in a lot of effort writing their story and dynamic. Can you share one of your favorite moments between Faye and Noah that might showcase their dynamic?
Okay, let me think of a moment that don't contain spoiler.
Sure, go ahead. We have all the time in the world.
Okay. Okay, I think there is a plot point in chapter 7, like when Faye first start the road with Noah. She and Noah went to the orphanage to do volunteer works. So I think over there, there's a plot basic thing like if you ever played airplanes, like if you make a wish when you throw out the airplane, the wish will come true if you catch it, like later. So in that case, Faye tried to make a wish, and she threw out that airplane, but was unable to catch it because she was like kind of tripped in the last minute. But then when she fell, Noah caught her. They both on the ground, and it's a very intimate moment. And then basically Noah say, "Hey, I help you catch the airplane. Look," and then he put out his hand, and the airplane is actually caught by just a little bit scrappy. I think that moment is pretty interesting because it kind of reflect what happened later. It's like Noah is willing to help Faye to reach what she wants because he is like in a very desperate love thing. And yeah, I think this kind of reflects his personality. Like he's always willing to help without looking for any thing back from Faye.
That's a bit cute. I also really like him for a completely different reason. His obsession with physics.
Oh
Because
yes, it is. He's a huge nerd, I would say.
Because I used to be a astronomy nerd back in school, and I really liked all these. Even though it was mostly math, all these calculations, like how much gravity was there on Mars, and how much time would it take for a ball of certain weight to fall from a cliff, and things like that. It's one of my favorite parts of those years, honestly. So I see that kind of reflected on him with this
I
passion.
think that the beauty of that is a lot of like say math or physics or astronomy is a lot of things you can kind of, if you're clever enough or you're hardworking enough, you can kind of calculate everything through formulas, and it's always settled because there's always a correct question. While in life there are a lot of uncertainties, and I think that will scare people.
Yeah, at least math and physics always has a correct answer.
It is.
Moving on to Edmund, the mysterious transfer student, the student who turns heads once he enters the story. He's a bit more tell us a bit more about him and what makes his connection to Faye unique amid the uncertainty and twists of the plot.
Sure. So Faye, Edmund, and Hendrix are like classic love triangle trope, especially in high school era because they all went to the same high school. So yeah, on one hand, Hendrix, the very cute, soft, caring childhood friend, the Edmund is everything opposite. He comes suddenly as a transfer student. Edmund is from Renard family, and he's like a buster of the family. So he's like not. So his identity is very different compared to Hendrix. Third, his characteristic is totally opposite to Hendrix. He's very adventurous. He jokes a lot. He flirts a lot. He is like very open to express his. He likes Faye and he wants to be with her with more time. And so I think his dynamic with Faye is Faye really likes Hendrix because they're childhood friend and they already get used to each other. But for Edmund, Faye actually hates him at first, so it's more like an enemy to lovers trope. And then it's different that Edmund and Faye, other than the enemies to love trope, I think they do have a really interesting dynamic called crime partners. So as you mentioned before, that Faye have a violent side and she gets angry and she do something that is more extreme. I think from her personality, she hates when she do that because it kind of means she's out of control. But Edmund loves it. And then Edmund is trying to make Faye do more of those and basically saying like, "Oh, free your nature," kind of thing. So I think that's an interesting part. I would say that Edmund is trying to bring up a darker side of Faye and try to make her and him bonded more, other than just love, but also crime partner, and they do some awesome things together.
Oh yeah, I remember going the. Before we meet him as like a transfer student, there was like this brief scene where we met him at a party, I think it was, and there was the choice to go drink with it.
Yeah. That's funny.
I went with it. It was so funny.
So yeah, I think that kind of explains the difference between Edmund and Hendrix, that you just experience two very different dynamic in each of the relationships.
It's like that meme, I can fix her. No, I can make her worse.
Yes.
So can you describe us the emotional journey Faye goes on with him throughout the story, or is that a bit too much of a spoiler?
It's fine. I think, yeah, as I mentioned, Enemy to Lovers is when at first Faye hates Edmund, and then she's kind of attracted to him because she realizes, like, I can actually be myself. Like, I can do anything when he's around, but Faye's more conservative when Hendrix is around. So that's when their relationship kind of changed. Like, what is for you to decide if Faye want to get more involved into doing things with Edmund or Hendrix. And then when we step into Act 2, which the story gets darker, there are more things to do. Like, you can even kill people, actually. There are more deaths involved. So the reaction, Edmund and Faye are involved into extreme circumstances, and the action they're taking is very interesting. Either it's like, I can kill for you, or you can kill for me, or we can kill things together, we hide things together. So I think that's when their relationship twists, because I think as a normal people, you don't want to kill people because it's break the law. But then Edmund is there, and he's basically seducing you to do these things. I think that's the interesting dynamic for Faye and Edmund.
The type of friend you can call in the middle of the night and tell him to bring a shovel.
Yes.
Bring a shovel.
Yeah.
Christ, this got dark, bro.
I mean, a lot of people love the dynamic. I think everybody has a wild side, and I think game plot is a safe place to express that kind of longing. And a lot of people love Edmund. I think he is very charming, and he's very handsome, and
I love Edmund too. It's just I didn't get to like killing people with him. My God,
you don't have to.
I didn't go that far.
There are options. So yeah, that's why I would say, like, usually you don't kill people in Otome games, but here you do.
Christ, well, I have to just like saying I do applaud the sheer amount of choice in that, right? Even the most messed up people have something to do in this game. Oh, you've crafted, so I'm clapping to that.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, though, Finally, I want to talk about potentially, or well, definitely the most mysterious boy or like man, I won't really call him a boy, of the story, Leon. Leon's dead, technically, but he also isn't. He keeps appearing in memories and dreams. How central is he to the story, and what does his presence symbolize? How did you approach turning the shocking beginning, Leon's first death, into a compelling romance route?
Okay, let's talk about Leon's death first. I know it's happening in prologue. It gives a very interesting impression for this character to you, or the audience. I think what happened in the prologue, if you play the game, spoiler alert, is not actually happening. So he's dead on paper, but it's not. He's more like we entered a dream of Leon's, and he basically killed himself in a dream, in his dream. So it kind of reflects here his suicidal thought. He kind of built his characteristics, saying like he's a scientist that don't really want to live, or he really want to die. So that's a shocking beginning, and also it kind of reflects what the dynamic between Leon and Faye, because Leon is a person that live only for one purpose, and he really want to be free from this burden. That's why he has the suicidal thought, and the burden is actually connected with Faye's character, and also it's connected with the whole story. As you can see that Leon's role is only introduced in Act 3, which is the final act of the story. Which you mean, like, you can kind of see that, okay, all the truths are going to be revealed in Leon's role. So that's how it goes. He's very, very important to the plot. And then the romance role between him and Faye, I think is more, I don't know if I can call it a romance. I mean, they do meet, and I'm not sure if it's love between them. It's a very complex relationship, but I can only talk this much because it will contain heavy spoiler for Act 3.
Okay. So he is very central to the story then. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, I think firstly, so as I mentioned, I firstly have the idea of the story back in high school. Back then I designed Hendrix and Edmund. Interestingly, if you have noticed, Hendrix's original character is from Shakespeare's Hamlet, and then Edmund's original character is from King Lear's, from like Shakespeare's King Lear. There is an Edmund in King Lear's play. Because back then I was basically, okay, let's date literature boys, and they're weird. So that's like the original thought. I keep those two characters because I love them too much, and then the time travel idea comes up during the end of my university time, and then I designed Noah and Leon. So you can see that those two characters are the center of the time travel plot, and then Hendrix and Edmund are more like the world building or the relationship building part of the story.
I wonder, as the writer, and much more, but we'll get into that later, what do Faye and Leon ultimately teach each other through their connection?
I think they teach each other the thing that basically the story teach, like every time travel story teach everyone, is to try to find a solution, to move on or to let go. So I think that's the ultimate thing through their connection, is to understand what's happening and then you accept it. If you want to fix it, then there is a way, but you also need to accept it first. I think that's the main thing in their connection.
So to fix something first, you must come to accept.
Yeah, I think a thing about time travel, especially like when you do like, oh, I need to reset this if this didn't go to what I want, is a form of you can't accept the thing is happening, so you just keep looping back to the past. So I think, yeah, in their relationship, it's more like a transaction between keep going back instead, it's like move on instead of keep going back. Or you accept it and trying to find a new solution instead of just using time machine.
Okay, interesting. I do agree that is certainly a theme with a lot of time travel stories. I can't think of any exceptions at the top of my head, actually. Huh. Maybe the original Time Machine movie, if you've ever watched that. The really old one.
I'm not sure, actually.
No. No.
That one... okay, that one is a different conversation.
It's like more nerd. It's like he's in his nerd mode right now. You've activated his nerd
I love old campy movies.
I feel time machine, the thing about time machine is like you can never get a happy ending from it, or it kind of feels fake, right? And also there are a lot of problems in the time machine. Like for here, it's like you are like saying the butterfly effect is like you change small things from the past, and then there's a lot of things changed in future. Another part is time paradox, which is more disaster. So it's like there are a lot of scenarios that you can cause a huge problem using time machine. I think that's why how people treated this kind of stories is just like in the end it's always about move on, or you just don't use time machine anymore.
Yeah, or just you screw up something in the past, now you have to fix it because the present is horrible. Oh wait, I thought of an exception. It's Doctor Who.
I love Doctor Who. Yes,
same. I love it as well. They can mess around time there fairly freely. Nothing's considered.
It is. Okay, I love this series. I spent so much time watching it.
I remember catching it in my grandma's place, like on the old box TV. It was very fitting. Very cozy. That's the word I was searching for. Cozy.
It's so much fun to watch.
So, I wanted to move on to design and development. So far, players have been able to experience on the first part of the Retrospection of Tomorrow, and the game is planned to be roughly hundreds of thousands of words, which, holy moly. You can imagine this being an absolutely huge undertaking for a single person. So I wanted to ask, what was the biggest challenge in juggling writing, coding, and art in such a branching story? And how did you decide which to include in the demo and which parts to save for the final release?
Okay, first question first. Biggest design challenge. I have to say, if anyone here in this podcast is a game developer, do what I do, because I started a huge project as my first project. Don't recommend it. I spent so much time.
This is your first project?
It is.
Oh my god.
That's even more impressive.
Yeah, don't do it.
I am a game developer in my spare time, so I know what it's like to make a game, and making a game this big as your first ever project is ridiculous. But I'm saying it in a good way. I'm impressed you've managed to craft something so good.
I was impressed too. I can't go so far. Okay, biggest design challenge. I think it just because it's my first game, so I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's the best workflow for me, because it's a huge project and it contains a lot of aspects. There are two ways of doing a game. One is you do this concurrently, say you are doing writing on weekdays and then doing drawings on weekend, and then you do some marketing and coding in the between. Second is you do writing in one go, finish that, and then you do the drawing in one go and finish that. So it's like section by section. I was testing out at first, so I spent some time. I think in the end I find the best way for me is trying to do things section by section. It kind of helps with less waste on the resource I created, saying if I have art asset drawn, but then it's not used later because I changed the script. So that's something I don't want to do. This large branching story is definitely trying to find the correct workflow to make it happen is the biggest challenge. Design challenge is kind of fine because it's a time travel story, but then it performs as usual visual novels. You have dialogue branch, and it's kind of back to the main branch unless you reach to an end, like a side end. I think the more challenging part of this is trying to do a timeline chart for everything happening, because it is a really long time frame happening in the whole story. I think I would say it's about 14 years, but maybe it's longer. So yeah, trying to have a timeline for those things happening is also a challenge. But the funny thing is, I think most of the time I just have a rough idea about which thing happened in which time frame thing. I usually think, oh, this is childhood frame time thing, and this is high school time thing, and then this is university time thing, and then this is later on. But then after I release Act 1, I think I do have players that do really detailed timeline chart to represent what actually happened in a specific time. And they listed out it so detailed. I was very impressed. Second question, what to include in the demo early release versus save for the full game? So I developed the game, I think I officially started working on it back in 2023. So back in 2023, around August, I released the demo, which include prologue and chapter 1. And then by the end of 2023, I released chapter 2 and chapter 3, which is the full game of the act 1. Then back then, when I finished act 1, I realized, oh shit, this is such a big project. Because at first I was thinking, okay, let's do a small thing and it's free. But no, it's like become too big. So back then, at that point, I decided, okay, I am going to do a free update again, and then it will be a paid game on Steam. Because I kind of want to stuck with my initial thought, make the game free so more people can play it. So what I decided back then is like, okay, Act 1 is done. I can do Act 2, a free game update, and then let's do a deluxe release on Steam, which contains the whole story and then all the other extra things. So that's like how the game release structure was set. So yeah, I spent the whole 2024 developing Act 2. It's insane. I thought it was like 5 months, but no, it's the whole year. And then release it early this year. And then the Steam demo is up, which demo only contains Act 1, but you can play Act 2 on each. And now, after the Kickstarter campaign ends, I will start doing the Act 3 and all the rest of the game.
Okay, that's very impressive.
Okay, one side note is I do the Act update is, I think it's important for me to get feedback while I was updating the game instead of updating the full game in one run. I know myself that I would just go rewrite stuff and feel it's not good enough. But then if I force myself to write and do an update and it's out, it's easier for me to go to the next section. So it's just like a personal thing that I think is better for me developing the game.
Yeah, it's different for everyone, I suppose. Did you also say that you took on the marketing yourself?
Yeah, I'm not the best people to do marketing, but I tried.
So you did all of that plus the marketing. Oh my god.
I feel marketing is kind of easy in the first phrase of your game development. Basically, you just post things, do a screenshot for your game work in progress. But yeah, like more official marketing, like actually promoting your game, I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
I'm sure you'll get to that point eventually. Considering how that the Kickstarter is successful means that your marketing's done a good job.
Thank you.
Have you ever considered hiring other people? Not just marketing related, like developers, artists, writers.
Yeah. Actually, I already hired a composer for the game.
Okay.
So the music composer is commission based. That's like good. And then I do consider to hire a UI designer to prepare the deluxe version, because I don't really like doing a UI. I mean, I did draw the current UI, but I wish it's better.
UI is an art in its own right, honestly. I've been in game design for a bit, and I know the struggles of actually making a good UI, so it's...
Yeah, definitely. I think for now it's still commission based. I think I thought about hiring people or collaborate with people in the beginning of the project, but then as I mentioned before, I did that workflow test, so I realized I like section by section. So basically when I'm writing, there's nothing else to do. So it's kind of unreasonable to hire someone in that period, and then art I can do it myself. Coding is kind of happening after the script and before the art. So it's kind of section by section. So for now it's always commission based.
I have another question. This one is very, very, very stupidly specific, but I don't know where to put it in, and I'm very curious.
No stupid question, please.
During the game, I noticed it's rare, but occasionally the text has this little weird glitch effect on it, like in the text box. And my question is, what does that represent? Because I couldn't really understand why it was really happening. I could tell it was something dark / creepy / mystery, but what is the actual representation coming from you?
I think it has two parts. The first part, it kind of represents the current mental state. When your mental state is very unstable, it appears. Second, it's related to, sorry, another spoiler, but it's related to what happened in Act 3 that is one of the main truths of all the mystery. But basically it's kind of, I can't say it much, but you know, like when you are coding and then like, or you're reading some code related things on the screen, if the source is unstable, you see that glitch on the screen, or you feel that glitch. So I think that's kind of related to what I said in the first. Is like you have a mental state of unstabilized thing, but also it kind of like you can see there are clips of people's memories in the story, and then in those memories sometimes there are glitches like representing the, I don't know what to say, like quality of the memory, I would say. But yeah, it's related to something happening in Act 3.
Okay, and I'm gonna give you, like, it's a bit of a jarring, it's a bit of whiplash considering I just gave you a very specific question. This one is a bit more open-ended. Considering you've developed the entire game yourself, were there any moments you felt overwhelmed having this many roles all on your own? And how do you overcome those moments, if you've had any, and keep the vision consistent?
I might just talk about vision first. Keep the vision consistent is kind of simple, I would say, as long as because when I decided the outline of the story, I already designed the outline of the story when I start working on Trout. I would say Trout because it's the short term of the Retrospection of Tomorrow. Because like the story is set, so it's easy to follow story and just to try to finish the work. I mean, there is changes on the story when I'm developing, and there are new ideas come out. But I believe the bone of the stories remain consistent throughout the development, and I believe it will remain consistent even when we step into Act 3. So yeah, remain the vision is kind of helped by I have a very clean outline of the whole story structure. And then by all the work, that's all the time I would say. Especially when I'm writing script, I feel like art is kind of okay because you kind of see like what art is needed, you just need to finish it. But writing is a pain because sometimes you don't know what to write, or you don't know how to connect it to plot point, or you don't know if it's good enough. So it requires a lot of rewriting. But to be honest, like what else can you do? You're like, if you don't do it, nobody will do it for you, so you have to do it. So that's basically my thoughts. So in the end, I'm just like forcing myself do stuff, and then it's done. I think the only trick I have is I like to take long walks if I'm feeling stuck on plot point. So basically, I'm like, if I feel stuck, I would just go a long walk, and then like during the walk, I will think about plot again, and then and it's solved. And usually I can think of some solution during the walk. So yeah, I love walking.
I've done that in the past while I've also been having moments I'm stuck with writing. And then I have a frustrating moment where I come back home and I forget the solution I thought of.
No. Yeah. Usually I need to type, like once there's a solution, I need to type on my phone so I don't forget.
That's smart choice. That's smart choice.
Yeah, so if you're curious, I spend half of the time just writing the script. And I think in that half of the time, 40% of the script are rewritten. So like you write a script and you delete it in later, but you already spend the time. I think that's the most frustrating part. But and in another view is if you don't write those scripts, there's no better idea come out from it. So yeah, it's a balance.
It is indeed. And speaking of the writing, there's a lot of heavy topics discussed in the game, like unhealthy family relationships, there's major character deaths and philosophical discussions. As a creator, how did you approach balancing these darker enemies with moments of levity? And were there any scenes that were particularly tough, emotionally speaking, to write or illustrate?
Yeah, first question, balancing the darker element versus the moment of hope. I think those two are, like, you always need to write the hope combined with darker element, or you always need to write darker element combined with hope because that's how it works. If you only write darker element, only write one of those elements without another, I feel it's less effective in a storytelling perspective. So yeah, it's not about balancing, just like they always happen together. They have a contrast, and then people will feel the contrast and they will be moved by what's happening. I think that's the key. So for example, the darker element maybe is about second question is the darker element is like Faye as the main character have a really strange family relationship, especially her parents not at home and their parents are really successful businessmen, but they seems don't want to have a kid while having Faye. I think that caused a lot of her like it hurts her self-conscious, I would say. Like she doesn't know why she exists in the world in a really long time. And that's like one of the main themes in Trout is trying to find what does it mean for you to exist in the world. So I think the darker element in this case will be the family relationship. And the moments of hope means she was kind of redeemed by there is a sense of redemption that she has really like two really good intimate friends, which is Edmund and Hendrix during her teenagehood, and that kind of keep her going a really long time later of her life. I think this moment is really nice. Firstly, it kind of contracts with like the two elements. Second is it's very effectively building their relationship, saying like make the player love Edmund and Hendrix while you understand why Faye think they are so important in their life, so she have to risk anything to save them later in the plot. I think it's just a really effective way for storytelling. Second is which scenes are particularly tough to write. I don't really know. I think most of the time I feel it's tough to write because I can't think of the plot connection. I don't think I is anything very emotionally tough. I mean, I cry sometimes when I write particularly plot, but it's never hard because I think it's just something I want to present, and then I want to present it good. That's it.
You cry during writing your own story?
Some parts, I would say.
No,
I think, yeah, I think sometimes it's like, oh god, this is so good. I finally read this part. I have been dreaming of it for such a long time.
Oh,
you're finally done. Things like that.
It's in that way. Oh my god. Well, I know because I sometimes write nothing this massive, right? I mostly fanfic, stupid shit. But when I manage to create an actually emotional scene that isn't just ridiculous, I cry at my own story writing, so that's something I've always wondered if other writers also have that, you know. And I
do. Yes.
Okay. I was just curious.
I think for me, writing is one part. Second is like after I cried and writing, I usually need to read everything through in a logical way to step into players' shoes and make sure that they feel what I feel, or it's too emotional, so I make it like more logical, things like that. So I think it's about balance and rewriting and reviewing and editing, a lot of work.
And on the art side of things, the game features 70, 80, somewhere around there. Full scene CGs plus the little chibi and the sketch CGs, which are absolutely adorable when they appear. I love them. And I believe for one person, that is astounding. My question is, do you have a favorite CG or visual element that you have drawn and you're very excited for players to see?
It always surprised me that each player have their own favorite CG. So I won't say like I recommend this one because I love it most. Okay. Second is I usually feel happy if there's a CG turning better than I thought. Because usually like what I do is I draw a sketch and then put sketch into the game to test it out. And then I kind of know, okay, sketch represents this kind of posture. But then later on, if I finish all the CG, like in a finished form, I put in the game, and then sometimes it appears much, much better than what I thought. Then in that case, I will love it. So yeah, I love all the interaction CG, I would say. there's nothing particular I love, to be honest. I love them all equally.
Okay,
And
fair enough. No, that's fair enough.
I spend very much the same time on each CG. So yeah, it's like not too much difference for me.
I just wanna add that I know it's not my place to say, but I really hope you keep some of the chibi CGs, you know, the sketches. I love the sketches. They're unique, and even though they're not as elaborate as those actual like full CG scenes, they can be used as, in my opinion anyway, they can be used as such a good like way for story beats, where you have CGs for the very important moments and like these sketches for the important moments but less important than the actual important moments.
More light-hearted moments.
Yeah, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I know. I will definitely keep them, don't worry.
Great.
I will rework on some of them, I think, when the deluxe version release, because I already see some problem with like there are weird anatomy happening in that CG, so I need to fix it. So, but yeah, I will just keep all the existing CG and add more in the deluxe version, so don't worry.
That's amazing. Great, I'm glad.
Yeah, because I love them too. I mean, it's like, who doesn't love Chibi and Sketch? It's just so cute.
They are very cute. And let's talk about gameplay and choices for a bit. Without spoiling anything, will players be able to achieve a truly happy ending with each of the love interests? That's a spoiler in itself.
You will. I think this depends on, like, it kind of relates to how the game is structured. As you already know, it has a really weird road system, so I would rather call it a visual novel instead of Otome. And then in the end, yes, you will have a grand happy ending, but in that grand happy ending, it's more like a general grand happy ending. You kind of see it's a grand happy ending for Faye. It's not on a romance level, but it's more like an overall like a life, or the adventure finally ends and you have your reward. And then once you unlock that ending, the personal romance route ending will be unlocked.
I see.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting system.
Yes. But there will be a happy ending.
I think I designed it this way is kind of because it feels weird if you only stuck with one person after all the things you went through. So I want to make sure the player can experience what Faye experience as a like grand happy ending, and then they can make a choice about like if they want to stay with one of the boys or not.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of Otome developers don't want to lock you in a certain path from too early into the game. I perfectly understand that.
Now, let's jump from the past to the present. You know, like how you do in the game. And talk about the Kickstarter. You've built a passionate community around this game, myself actually included. And I'm not saying this just to be nice, I actually did like the game. And you've already reached your base funding goal, which congrats on which. I'm very happy for you. How has the campaign experience been so far?
I have to say I received more support than I ever imagined. I mean, throughout the way I received so much support, and this year I finally started a Discord group, so I realized, there are actually people like waiting for the game update and have been following it all along, and it's amazing to be able to communicate with them directly. And then as for the campaign, it's a 30-day campaign. I think we reached like 40% in the first 3 days, and then it's a very, very long and pain waiting time. I would say I'm just basically go to the Kickstarter page and refresh every every hour.
God.
So I feel this might be the same for all the people who run their Kickstarter campaign for the first time. But yeah, I'm glad it's funded. And I'm so grateful that for all the support I received and all the kind words talking about the game and people playing the game and leave comments. It's just love to see those things.
The alternative reaction I've seen from people posting on Kickstarter is posting it and they don't dare look at the campaign until they really need to out of fear.
But usually, like how Kickstarter campaign works from my experience, you have so much funds going in the first few days, and then there is another spike in the last few days. What happened in between is just a small climbing thing. I think there's one thing that really surprised me during the campaign is, I think, in the middle of the campaign, the studio, 2.5 Studio, so if you know, the studio made A Date with Death. So the studio reposted the Kickstarter post, and then the campaign fund just go up by 1K.
Oh my
it's
God.
crazy. It's crazy.
I could just imagine how amazing you must have felt at that, getting recognized
Yeah,
like that.
It is. I
Oh
was
my
so
God.
surprised. I literally screamed.
That's so sweet. I'm so glad. I'm so happy for you because the game genuinely deserves it.
Oh, thank you. So, I love when devs support each other. Like me and some other devs are currently running Kickstarter campaigns, so we also do cross promo, and then we share our experience with each other. I think it's like a really beautiful thing.
And with the initial goal met, and only a few days left on the pocket watch, pun intended, are there any final stretch goals in sight? What extra content might be unlocked if those stretch goals are actually reached, and how are you feeling as the campaign nears its end?
First question, any stretch goal? Yes, there is. I hope we meet it, but if we don't, it's fine. I'm like a very easy to satisfy person.
Okay.
We do have one stretch goal. The nearest one, if we meet that, we will have original background. Because for now, the background art is basically the photo I took or photo I use from a royalty-free website, and then I do Photoshop with it. That's what the current state of the background art. So if we reach our next stretch goal, there will be original art for background, and which I will hire an artist to do it because I can't draw background art. And then how do I feel as campaign near its end? I'm glad it's finally over soon. I will be free. Because once the campaign ends, I will go back to the game dev era, which usually what I do is I just use all my free time to do the game dev stuff. I have been so busy with all the marketing things since the beginning of the year, and releasing a Steam page and then do the demo, release the Act 2's update, and then is the Kickstarter. So I haven't had the time to properly dive into the script writing for Act 3. So I'm really excited to start writing script.
Okay, that's quite exciting. Also, Steam can eat up a lot of time alone, and I can imagine everything else just adding to the pile.
Yes, I was so confused when I first trying to upload a demo or create a Steam page, Steam page, because the whole process is so complex. I was complicated, and the UI design just so confused. I have to search for multiple YouTube video to understand how it works, and especially I'm using Mac, so a lot of people using PC are different. It's just
that's even
a really long way. Yeah.
So, from what were some of the most heartfelt reactions you've seen from the fan base during the campaign? Did any fan theories or community reactions surprise you?
Okay, heartfelt reaction. Yes, I think for fan base during campaign, I think maybe previous from the campaign, there are also a lot of moments I feel really touched. So as I mentioned before, I create a Discord group, and there are a lot of fans I never expected I will ever met online that I can talk with them directly. They are not shy to express how they love the story and what part they are most interested in. So really loving that part. And then in our Discord, we have a channel called Spoiler Only. So basically people posting reactions when they are doing the playthrough. And it's always fun to hear people scream in certain plot. And then what surprised me is the ability to make memes. My fanbase are really good at making memes for characters. And there are a lot of hell jokes, which I really enjoy. And the whole process is just very rewarding. I think it's nice to can see things through what players see in the game. And then there are fan theories? Yes, they do have fan theories. I think most of their theories kind of answered in Act 2. There are unsolved mysteries, but those mysteries basically can't have theory because it's kind of not anywhere yet. There is a very famous theory asking if Noah and Leon are they the same person. It has been a theory since Act 1. The question is partially answered in Act 2. But yeah, the theory, like when people make, when they are analyzing why they are the same person, is very interesting. Saying, okay, they both have blue eyes, and then they both have purple eyes, and then but at the same time, they have very different personality, and their age is different, and then it's including all the timeline theories and such. So yeah, I feel this series is very interesting. Always interesting to see.
I had one personal fan theory, right? Let's do the thinking cap again for a second.
I was gonna say, was it the one that you already brought up?
No. That was something different entirely. You just mentioned like a theory that Noah and Leon, right? They're the same person. I don't think that. What I thought, and I'm not sure if I still believe this after having played through the Act 3 of the game, but when we first met that boy, I thought the boy was like Leon. I thought those two were the same person because their appearance matched very well, and the boy, I'm pretty sure, was like holding basic physics or something, and Leon is like literally like a scientist without lab coat and such. So I was like, these two gotta be the same. This has to be some time shenanigans going on. So that's my personal theory.
Yeah, this is a very famous theory. I mean, I designed the boy and Leon in that case. It's like very intentional. I think
it's intentional.
It's intentional, and I think it actually means like it's right for you to think that. It's like, but yeah, play Act 2 if you're really curious about the answer for that. But yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, fan series. It's always fun to see, and sometimes painful because I can't do spoiler, and it just like
you wanna discuss it, but you can't discuss it.
Say, yeah, you literally can't say anything
because you know all the answers.
Yeah. I can't wait for Act 3 to be released. I mean, deluxe version. So the fans will be free because they will have an answer, and I will be free because I finished the game.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, same. I feel like I already feel this when I released Act 2 because I can already talk a lot serious because it's answered in Act 2. Before that, he would just basically say nothing.
Mm-hmm. And okay, taking off my thinking cap. Before the campaign wraps up, we do have to ask for a little exclusive sneak peek, if you have any. Is there anything exclusive or unreleased content you can share or tease with us? Perhaps a piece of concept art, a scene, a CG that hasn't been revealed yet, or even a hint about a route in the final act that fans don't know about?
Let's talk about final act.
Okay.
You already know it's a time travel story, so there are two things I can reveal for Act 3. I mean, you kind of can get it in Act 2's end, but I think it's fun to talk about. Act 3 first. There is multiple universe involved. So there are alternate universe happening instead of just time traveling.
Okay.
So things are not linear anymore. I mean, it was not linear, but it's more complexity. Second is there will be multiple Faye included. So you will...
wait a second.
Yeah, so I think that's the two things I want to include. I want to say about what happened in Act 3. So very exciting.
Oh my god, that is very exciting.
We're going into paradox territory, it sounds like.
Actually.
Yes, we will go to it. I mean, there is a reward tier in Kickstarter called Time Paradoxes or Paradox Creator. So yes, there is time paradox included.
So the reward tier is the spoiler.
I mean, it's kind of okay.
The name,
you don't know what's actually happening. You know the context, but yeah.
Now we know.
Yes. Okay, that's it. That's everything I need to share.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And before we wrap up, what can players expect from the full game when it finally releases in terms of length, content, and emotional roller coasters, potentially?
In terms of length, it will... So for now, the game is about 10 to 12 hours playtime. So I expect the full game will be 18-hour plus playtime. Content including Act 3. And then there are epilogue stories, romance ending stories, side stories. And then there will be some extra plots for the existing game, which is Act 1 and Act 2. There will be extra CG including Act 1 and Act 2. Also, I need to do some script editing for Act 1 and Act 2. Like there are plot I want to change to make it flow better. And for emotional roller coasters, I really can't say much about this. Usually, I only have an outline for Act 3, and I only know what actually happening when I actually finish it. So this happened for Act 2. It's like I have an outline, but then it's always in the middle when I'm writing the script. I understand what's happening next and what's the best plan. So yeah, maybe there will be more emotional roller coasters. I hope there will be, but I hope it. I promise it will all worth it by the end of the game.
Okay, thank you. And do you have anything else you'd like to say directly to our listeners or to the supporters of the Retrospection of Tomorrow?
I can only say thank you. There's nothing much else to say. No matter what kind of support I receive, I always appreciate it. I'm very grateful. Let's just experience the journey together. Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us. This has been great fun.
To our listeners, if you haven't already, please do go check out the demo for the Retrospection of Tomorrow, which is available on itch.io and Steam, as we discussed. And if you do catch this in time, pun intended again, do support the Kickstarter in its final days. Trust us, you'll want to experience the story and see if you can break the cycle. Until next time, stay safe and pick your choices carefully. We do not have time machines, unfortunately.